So, have you ever taken the perfect portrait, but when you copy off your memory card or receive your scans back from the lab, you notice it's just out of focus? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how to take an image like this and recover it to something like this. So, my name is Aidan Samuels. I'm a portrait and event photographer based out of Toronto, Canada, and these days I primarily work with analog gear for my portrait work. It's often not until quite a bit later that I see that a shot ended up as this. Seem familiar? Well, I might have good news for you. I believe I found the best method with the most control and highest quality to recover focus on portraits like these. I've shown this to a few people so far, and everyone seems pretty mesmerized, so I figured I'd put it into a video to show the rest of you. So how's this going to work? The answer is AI. While I'm aware that that's a bit of a buzzword these days, AI does have some pretty extraordinary potentials for portrait photography, this being one of them. And the method that I'm going to show you here does help retain a lot more of the control that's often lost with artificial intelligence enhancement. So before we get going, I'll specify that this video is primarily geared towards analog photography, the reason being that when you're shooting digital, you get to take more shots, get to see them right away, and, of course, accurate autofocus. So all things considered, you're more likely to not have this problem in the first place. It also relies on some of the film grain to mask some of the inconsistencies with focus recovery. However, all that said, you can certainly follow along with the digital shot as well. So the shot I've shown you, it's pretty far out. That's on me. It was taken on Portrait 400 with this, which might be my first problem. Focusing at 90mm f1.25 with a rangefinder is not the easiest thing to do, but here's how we can fix it. So our first step is to go ahead and open the image in Photoshop. So then immediately what we're going to do is open a Chrome tab and head to app.remini.ai. This is my AI enhancement software of choice. If you have another one you like, then by all means. Now, I honestly, as good as this software is, cannot recommend their paid version. It has a very predatory pricing model, so we're going to go ahead with the free version here. So we just go ahead and drag and drop in our image. So as you can see right away, the software has done a really good job sharpening up the details in the face, especially around the eyes and nose. Now, as said, since we're not using the paid version of this application and cannot directly download it, we're going to go ahead and essentially screenshot it out of here. Now, the best way I found to do that within this software is just to zoom in to about as large as the face is going to be, and go ahead and right-click, copy image. And then in Photoshop to go ahead and paste it. So the next step is to go ahead and scale it to fit. I find the fastest way to do this is to just initially remove the black borders that come along with the screenshot with the magic wand tool with a tolerance of 0, and then scale it to fit horizontally. That'll get us the perfect scale, and then all we need to do is match up the positioning vertically. So scale it up, position it to fit, and there we have our baseline. Now the next step is to create an inverted layer mask and paint in the details only where we want them to be with a white brush. Now, if you notice any shifting at this point, you can go ahead and readjust where the image sits. That's better. Now, of course, as you'll notice, the watermarks are coming through with the enhanced image, but we'll take care of that when we get to it. So just go ahead and brush everywhere where you'd like the image to be enhanced. And now it's time to fix up those watermarks. So we're going to go ahead and hide that layer mask to hide the painting that we've done, and then come into the areas where we know the watermark lives, and with a lasso tool or any selection tool of your choice, we're going to paint those out. So this is already looking pretty good, but the next step is to blend back in that film grain. You can sort of see it just stops here when it goes into the artificial intelligence area. Now, the first step is to set our zoom level to a known value, something like 50% for this resolution of scan, and to then pop open the camera raw filter. This has the best grain simulation in Photoshop. So once that's open, we can go ahead and match that zoom level so that we can place the image accordingly and really match that grain fall off into the real image. Now, we're going to scroll down to this Effects tab here, and that has the grain slider. Now, it's not really going to come through on the recording because of YouTube compression, among other things. But I find for Portra 400 scanned at this resolution with the Noritsu scanner I use, a grain level of about 30 with a fairly small size and a fairly medium level of roughness is pretty ideal. Of course, these values will pretty much definitely vary for you. Something I find annoying when Photoshop YouTubers always give exact settings that are definitely not going to work for any other image. And with that applied, you can really see how it brings everything together and just sort of blends it all into one cohesive image. Now, at this stage, you can go ahead and duplicate and merge your layers to then perform any of the adjustments you might do on a regular portrait. And with that, I'm going to call this complete. And there you have it. We're able to take that image and turn it into something reasonably usable. If you didn't want to see more of what I do, you can check out my portfolio in the links in the description. And I also recently wrote a book about analog photography, so that's in there as well. And with that, I get to say the ever classic, thank you for watching.